website. The claim I'm responding to is that GAIN is one of the most productive and efficient domestic violence treatment programs in the United States. My opponent's claims were GAIN service workers, or GSWs, identify the cycles of violence. GSWs are taught to understand the impact that domestic violence has in our society, and GSWs are taught to properly educate victims on the steps of survival. But GAIN's mission is not the same as the other domestic violence treatment programs in the United States. Therefore, GAIN is not as productive and efficient as some of the other domestic violence programs in the United States. First, I'll talk to you about how GAIN service workers are not responsible for identifying the cycles of violence. Second, how GSWs do not go through any kind of training to teach them to understand the impact that domestic violence has in our society. And third, that GSWs do nothing more than any other domestic violence program out there. Now, back to the first claim. Originally, you heard how the advocate said GAIN service workers identify the cycles of violence. Well, according to the County of Los Angeles' class specification page, a GSW develops and monitors individualized employment plans for GAIN or greater avenues of independence program participants, and identifies and provides support service to GAIN participants. Nowhere does it say anything about identifying the cycles of violence. Te Kupanga Wakayoti Mahi Patunga, or the National Network of Stopping Violence Services, as it states on their website, the cycle of violence and its effect on the women is a program that actually uses the cycles of violence to help out women. A GSW does not actually educate the victims and help them through the patterns of abuse. As stated by the GAIN website, once all the initial activities have been negotiated by the participant and the GSW, the participant is referred to the appropriate WTW, or the Welfare to Work, activity and provided with the appropriate supportive services. There are other programs that will actually evaluate the victim and then help them in the same service rather than just referring them somewhere else. The Tupakunga Wakayuti Mahi Patunga actually states on the website, if our information doesn't answer your question or you want to talk to someone about any of these items, here, please contact us. We can help. This is a program that is just one example that can help. Now, second, you heard how GSWs are taught to understand the impact that domestic violence has in our society. But GSWs do not go through any kind of the training to teach them the understanding of domestic violence has in our society. They are only there for the victim to, as said by the County of Los Angeles' class specification page again, act as a specialist who assist and motivate GAIN participants in removing barriers to education, training, and employment by providing access to supportive services through the GAIN program and by interactions with relevant educators, trainers, child care providers, and prospective employees. They most certainly can learn the impact domestic violence has on women and children, business, and all of us by using the casework skills to monitor GAIN participants' progress. But a GSW is not taught to understand the impact that domestic violence has in our society. And finally, third, you heard how GSWs are taught to properly educate victims on the steps of survival. But GSWs do nothing more than any other domestic violence. Yes, GSWs are supposed to encourage the victim and to keep a positive attitude on their life to help them get through the hardships, as said by their own motto from their website, to enrich lives through effective and caring service. But that does not automatically make GAIN one of the, as you heard from the advocate, one of the most productive and efficient domestic violence treatment programs in the United States. Nothing makes GAIN more effective than, say, the Los Angeles County Domestic Violence Council, which gives their mission statement on their website. The Los Angeles County Domestic Violence Council provides leadership in the creation and support of a victim-centered, county-wide, and coordinated approach to prevent and respond to domestic violence. Now you have heard how, first, that game service workers are not responsible for identifying the cycles of violence, and second, GSWs do not go through any kind of specific training to teach them to understand the impact of domestic violence has on our society, and third, that GSWs do nothing more than any other domestic violence programs out there. And that's why GAIN is not as productive and efficient as some of the other domestic violence programs in the United States. Thank you.